All right, everybody, good evening and welcome to the this is April, isn't it, 2019 meeting of the virtual chapter. We have a wonderful guest tonight, Dan Candell, and we'll be introducing him shortly. And we're looking forward to sharing with him about supercharging your practice with videos and free consultations and all kinds of other great tricks that I know he's got up his sleeve. So we're really looking forward to that. Before we start out, we want to make just a few announcements. That is, if you're watching us live right now, or if you're watching a replay later on, and you are a member of IACT or IMDHA or any of the more friendly hypnosis associations, they will give you CEUs for the time that you spend with us. So do whatever it is to collect your CEUs from your appropriate organization, and you get an hour and a half back. Actually, if we say something really interesting, you can get that hour and a half with interest, which means you could probably get 2 hours back just by letting them know that you attended the virtual chapter. This video will be posted on the virtual chapter Facebook group and the virtual chapter YouTube channel by noon tomorrow. And at least God willing and the creek don't rise by noon tomorrow. And it also be posted on the IACT IMDHA forum, the members forum. If you're a member of that organization, you can see it there. Or and that's it. So go ahead, Karen. What was it?
Oh, I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned the conference. I know that we don't want to take too much time to do this real quick, but the IACT IMDHA conference is coming up May 17th through 19th. And I'm going to steal a moment right now to say I'd love to see you or anybody who's joining us on the recording. Join me on Friday. I have a full day workshop on the Remind system for positive change. It's a system that features flexibility, so that if you run into this client and they aren't actually adapting to a certain style, you'll know exactly what to do instead. So it's a system with flexibility. That's the Remind system for positive change. That's all day on Friday. And Michael has a one-day workshop, post-workshop.
That is true. And my post-workshop, by the way, is the first time I've ever done it live in a training room in the presence as opposed to online, is the virtual hypnotist and how to use Zoom and how to work with clients and stuff online. So that will be on Monday of the conference weekend. And yeah, so be there. You know, every other hypnosis conference, I've got to remind people that have never been to this wonderful group is that every other hypnosis conference, there's somebody in a room somewhere before the conference is over who invites people to take a nice breath, to close their eyes, and to imagine themselves on a beautiful beach. The interesting thing is in Daytona, we don't seem to find a need to do that because it's built right in. And man, it is such a lovely time to be here in Florida. The temperature today, by the way, was 89 degrees yesterday. I don't know what it was today. So Florida is getting ready for y'all, and please come and join us for the Hypno Expo 2019 because it's going to be a great event. And I think that's about all that I have by way of announcement.
I think it is. Yes, let's
let me just tell them one more thing really quick, is that if you join the virtual chapter, the Facebook group, if you're not a member of it already, you'll get the announcements of this meeting when they come up, but you'll also have a chance there to see the replays when they're posted. And you can also see the replays from our presenter series, which was in anticipation of the conference. So you'll see a replay of Karen Hand talking about her program and of me talking about my program as well. And you can get all the scoop there. So check it out.
I just got to say, because I'm looking in gallery view, you'll also see Bruce Eimer, who's joined us here, and Dan Cleary, who's here, and some other people who will be speaking, Cheryl Elman, people who will be speaking and joining us at the conference too. So there's a lot to check out.
Lovely. All right. So the other thing that I am about to do is that I am going to mute everybody's microphone. I will reopen the microphones of Dan and Karen if they're really lucky and they act well. so that we'll be able to talk to you. We can't have all these microphones open at one time. There will be an appropriate time perhaps for questions and things later on, and you can always open up your microphone to ask questions at that time. You'll find a little microphone icon in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. When you are muted, it'll have a red line through it, and if you just click on that, it will open up your microphone and you will be able to talk to us then. So let me do that really quickly. And that being done, I have the floor all to myself. And now, let's see, we have just, I'm trying here. Dan, something is stopping me from unmuting your microphone. What's the deal? Oh, it's open now. Great. I was a little concerned about
I
that.
didn't want to talk yet, Michael.
Well, then shut up. So we're delighted to have you, Dan. And Karen, if you've got anything else, or if you would like to just segue to chat with our guest here, that would be a lot.
I would just love to say that I have known Dan Candell's name for quite some time. I don't know, Dan, exactly why I have you and stage hypnosis linked together. Did you do stage hypnosis for a while? I have in mind Dan Candell, the comedy stage hypnotist.
Yes. I actually very actively still do stage hypnosis. And that is a way that fueled my private practice for years and still does. I'm still very actively doing stage hypnosis.
And I wasn't trying to imply that you're not. I'm just saying that the image that you're presenting today is different. And boy,
Yes.
Isn't that the greatest thing that we get to do? Reinvent ourselves.
It really is. In fact, I've gone through many reinventing myself times over the past few years, and each time I had to make it work. And that's exactly what I'm going to be showing to people tonight, is how even going through times of reinventing yourself, or even just putting something out there that you're already doing and making it look new again, how to add these like secret weapon touches that people sometimes ignore or don't even think of.
Well, that was a brilliant tease, but before we get too far into it, and since you have reinvented yourself, please tell us who Dan Candell is today.
So I am currently known as the anxiety relief guy. And it's really interesting because this was a part of reinventing myself about a year and a half ago, and where I started working with people mainly for anxiety. And I actually no longer see people for weight control or like small habits like nail biting or anything like that. I mainly do bigger programs for people, both in group programs and seeing people one-on-one individually. And I do more high-end programs, like between $1,500 and $2,500 to $3,500, depending on what people are, how many sessions people need, and what program they need. So currently, Dan Candell is a stage hypnotist. Dan Candell is the anxiety relief guy. And Dan Candell is also co-creator of the expert hypnosis training.
Don't forget the part about the comedy.
Yes.
He's also a funny guy, so...
I always tell people I'm not that funny. I hypnotize other people to make them funny for me. So.
Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. Well, that's all right. Oh, that's a lot on your plate. And does one have to do stage hypnosis in order to make that six-figure income? Or are there other things? Can you pick a piece here and a piece there?
You can pick up, you can kind of piecemeal it together. In fact, Karen, I challenged myself about 6 months ago, and I said, if I gave up doing stage hypnosis, could my practice still thrive? It could not only survive, could it still thrive? And I really challenged myself. So for about 6 months, I actually didn't. I actually consciously made the decision to cut out a lot of the stage shows that I was doing, and a lot of the high schools I was performing for, and specifically cut out a lot of shows. And as I was cutting out the shows, my practice not only still survived, but it actually thrived, because I was niching down and created a super niche, which has worked tremendously for me. And you don't have to create a super niche. Sometimes that happens on purpose, and sometimes it happens by design or completely on accident. And for me, it happened on accident, but I'm really glad it did.
Well, you call it a super niche, and I don't know why, because how are you going to find people who suffer from anxiety and stress? I mean, really, is there a market for that kind of thing?
Well, it's really interesting, Karen, because a doctor started sending me his patients who had a condition that was called pandas. And when I first got, yeah, you've heard it right, pandas.
Pandas, okay.
When I saw come across my docket one day, so-and-so wants a consultation because her son has pandas. I said, well, isn't that a treat? And if this person has a fear of pandas, why would they have a panda? This doesn't make sense. Where would one get a panda? It just didn't make sense to me. So then I realized that PANDAS was an acronym, also referred to as PANS, for children who have an extreme anxiety condition that's caused from when they had strep or tonsillitis when they were younger.
Wow.
The streptococcal or tonsillitis actually causes swelling in the brain. And when that swelling occurs, it triggers severe anxiety, obsessive compulsive issues. It triggers severe emotional and anger issues. The swelling goes down, but all of the anxiety stuff sticks. So under the supervision of this doctor, I was seeing one of his patients who's 12 years old, who had severe anxiety. And we had a remarkable recovery rate with this person. So after that, the doctor started sending me more people who had PANDAS. Well, found out a bunch of parents have this PANDAS support group. And they found out, and they put me on a radio show on New Year's Day. And it was a radio show, a podcast of sorts, that specialized in children who have PANDAS. And it was video. It was on video, very similar to this. And in fact, the host of the show, he really wanted to interview me because his granddaughter suffered from this condition as well. He wanted to interview me so bad that he was on his way to Florida with his family, and he pulled over his van and did the recording outside of his van. That interview was aired on New Year's Day, this most recent New Year's Day. This was such a super niche community that within about 4 days, I got 17 new clients who all had this condition. And sometimes they're very difficult to work with because they're preteens and teens, and just so people are clear, I take a very straightforward approach, which doesn't work for everybody. I swear a lot in my sessions at these, and I don't do it to swear at people. But sometimes you really need to get through to these kids, and they're used to working with therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists. So I ask the parents, I say, well, you're in the room. Can I do and say anything within reason to get through to your child? And they say, absolutely. I said, perfect. It's not going to be anything outlandish. It's just going to be, I just need to crack their pattern and interrupt their pattern. Well, I've developed a unique way of working with these people where it's not just hypnosis. It's other, some other modalities as well that I'm using. But I'll tell you, this became such a super niche that it was very easy to become known as the anxiety relief guy, and kind of the niche chose me. So then I started working more with business owners who have anxiety and high performance issues. So I created this whole thing called the Anxiety Relief Revolution. And I have to say, I wake up every morning and I say, I get to do this. And I don't think I've ever felt as passionate about a niche as I feel about this one. And Bob has known me for a long time. Bob, you have seen me go through several different transitions of being the hypnotist for golf, the smoking person, this person, that person. And doing this, it just really lights me up. Mm-hmm. And if you can find something like that, because we have 3 different levels. We have, I have to, I choose to, I get to. We all do things that we have to do so that we can contribute to society, become active players in society, so we can do the things we choose to do. And when we do the things we choose to do, we get to this amazing point where we get to do things. And I don't have to see 7 or 8 clients a day. I don't have to do 100 stage shows a year. I've narrowed it down to where I say I'm working with the people I want to work with, and I get to do this. Nice. So that's kind of where I am now. And I want to share some insight into how you can do something very similar just to make these connections with people so that you can explore these creative ways as well. So that's kind of what I want to do tonight is give you a little look into my my process of not really how I work with people, but to get the people into the door and to make these deep connections where people feel like they're paying me $2,500, they feel like it's not enough. And where they say, and my $2,500 program, they're getting 4 live sessions with me, one-on-one live sessions. Most of the time it's on Zoom like this. I do have an office, and I do see a lot of clients in my office. I have like a whole training center and wellness center. That's mine. It's called the Candell Center of Transformation. Ooh. But I've also done a TED Talk as well. So people will find me from there. And there's an airtight process that I've developed. And I want to share that process with everybody tonight.
I'd love to hear that. I would be interested, since we are a global business and since we can be any place and it doesn't matter, I am curious about, where are you really? I mean, where is your physical base?
Yes. So my partner and I live in Connecticut. I call it the compound because so we live in Thompson, Connecticut. I always grew up in a little house, and when we came to Connecticut, we bought this 2,500 square foot brand new colonial on 3 acres of land. And I said, and my partner, he grew up in a big house. I didn't. I said, "What is this called?" He goes, "The guest bathroom." I'm like, okay, just wanted to know. So I live in Connecticut. My practice is in Massachusetts, in Northborough, Massachusetts. And I'm not fully virtual. All of the clients, I have 7 clients today. All of the clients I saw were in my office. Tomorrow it's about 50-50. So 50%, I'll be working half the day from home, and then I'll go in my office the last half of the day. And I only work 3 days a week. So I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with clients. And then I'll do usually 1 or 2 stage shows a night. In fact, I just picked up a comedy club, and they said, "We want you to do a weekly gig." And I said, "No." And that becomes a job. I want to do a weekly gig for a comedy class. I'll do a monthly gig. They say, okay. So using what I'm going to teach you tonight, I sold out the comedy club, the show that I had. So talking about selling out different venues, just like you would sell out your practice and have people banging down your door. I mean, it works.
The most intriguing thing is that you get to pick and choose.
Yes.
I want to do this. I don't have to do this. So stop teasing us. How do you do it?
All right. So everybody, I created this airtight process where I actually have this really high value of where people apply to work with me. And they have to fill out an application before they even get to talk to me. So there are 2 strategies I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. One is going to be some insight into my free consultation formula. And the free consultation formula is a structured way of how I added $103,000 to my private practice in 9 months. I'm also going to be sharing with you the behind the scenes of how video has been so important to my practice. And video, I use video almost like an email or almost like a voicemail. And video adds such a personal touch. So it makes sense first to start talking about the video and then to morph into the free consultation formula, because they really go together. Does that sound good?
Oh, that sounds great. The video thing, I wanted to make sure we had time for, because I am really, really, really intrigued by this.
In fact, Dan, if I can chime in for a second, just as a little bit of a testimonial, when I first contacted you about doing this, what I really appreciated was, instead of getting a text back, text to text, you kept sending me these lovely little videos, and they I didn't know you particularly well. and they just so personalized you that it was a wonderful thing. And I thought this is a fantastic idea right there.
Thank you. Thank you. And
he liked it so much, he shared it with me. And that's when I said, oh my God, this is brilliant. This is what I want to know about.
And that's what I want to share with you. And there is a way to do this that's a paid way. And then there's also a free way. And I'm going to share both ways with you tonight. And I'm going to share the pros and cons of both ways with you tonight. The service that I use, and folks, let me just break this down. So what Michael and Karen are referring to, Michael originally reached out to me and asked me if I would speak to the virtual chapter, and it was through an email, or excuse me, not an email, it was through Facebook Messenger. And then you sent me an email or something, and I responded or replied to something. And what I did is I wrote Michael's name. It has Karen's name on it now. I wrote Michael's name on a whiteboard, and I'm doing that in the first 3 seconds of the video. Now, the software that I use, it captures that first 3 seconds of you holding up their name and waving like a moron, like like that. And it plays it back in their email as a GIF. So when they open up their email, this is what they see. So they know it's personalized to them. So let's say I was communicating with Karen. Karen is a prospective client. She said, I saw you on Google, and Google Juice is working. I want to stop biting my nails. And I've contacted 4 other hypnotists. How many sessions and what do you charge? Right? That's the typical thing. And by the way, don't ever answer those questions.
You can charge by the finger for this, by the way, and that would be 10.
What did you say?
Charge by the finger.
Oh, I thought you said something else.
You did not.
I thought you said give them the finger in the video. I'm like, well, that would break the rapport. But I hear you. I charge. I got it. I'm on it now. So, so what I do in that instance is I turn on my camera, or most of the time I use my phone, and I'll write their name on a piece of paper if I don't have my whiteboard with me, and it will say like, hi, Karen. I'll just do this. Hi, Karen. Hey, Dan Candell here, the anxiety relief guy and the hypno specialist. Thank you so much for reaching out. I hear you've already reached out to a few other people. I just wanted to send you a little personal touch. And also, before I even answer those questions for you, I don't really know a lot about your issue. So let's actually have a phone call where we can touch base so I can gain some more insight in what you'd like to achieve and accomplish and how I can best help you out. And then there'll be a time where we'll be on each other's schedules and you can ask me any questions that you have, and I can also gain some more insight in what you'd like to do and how we're going to go about doing this. Hope that sounds great. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are. I'm Dan Candell. See ya. And let's unpack that for a moment. I know you've already talked to other hypnotists because she said it in the email. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. I'm Dan Candell. I am the blank. So it's starting off with that introduction. I am Michael and I do blank. I am Bob and I do blank. So I'm Dan. I'm the anxiety relief guy. Thank you so much for reaching out. I know you've gone to other hypnotists before, but I wanted to send a little personal touch. This insinuates that the other people have not sent that personal touch. I want to set up a conversation first where I can ask you some questions to gain more insight in what you'd like to achieve and accomplish. What does that say? That says the other people have not done that. Even if they have, ooh, that's cool. And I call it a discovery session and or strategy session. We'll get into a little bit more behind the psychology of that shortly. In that time, it's going to help me gain some insight in what you'd like to achieve and accomplish. And it's also going to allow you to ask any questions that you have, and also so I can lead you towards a solution. And then I'll answer how many sessions I think it will be, and kind of all the ins and outs and everything like that. And at the end, I said, now I'm going to copy everything else. I'm going to ask that you don't copy this part, though. And that is my tagline: be well, do good, be true to who you are. I'm going to ask that you please do not copy that. Bob, drop the pencil. I'm kidding. Thanks, Bob. Inside joke. No, so be well. And I say, again, I'm Dan Candell. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are. And that's how I end every video. And I actually got this from watching Jerry Springer and Ellen DeGeneres. At the end of their shows, they always say something thought-provoking, and it's always the same. So I said, well, if it's good enough for one of the most outrageous talk show hosts, and if it's good enough for the most compassionate talk show host, it would be good for me. So I developed my own after this was probably a year of experimenting with many other things, and it took me so long to get it down pat. Be well, do good, be true to who you are. I'm Dan Candell. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Now, if I'm posting a link for someone to schedule, I'll say below the video, I'm pasting a link where you can click and schedule some time with me. So this is a video strategy that I use. Now, there's two ways of doing this. Before this little piece of software that I use, and by the way, I believe it's something like $50 a month for this piece of software, which I'll tell you what it is in a few minutes. But I did this for a while before I even purchased this software, because I didn't know this software existed. And I'll tell you a couple of free ways you can do this. So the free way you can do this, which I was using for about 8 or 9 months, I was uploading a private link or an unlisted link to YouTube. So here's the free way to do this. Someone reaches out to you, they send you an email, and you want to send them a personalized message. You take out your cell phone, and on my cell phone, I have something that is called a pop socket. And this pop socket you get for $10, and it allows you to hold your phone like this. I can also clip it to my laptop. Imagine my fingers at the top of my laptop, and it clips like that. So instant video camera, okay? And I'll take out my phone, or I'll just do it right from my laptop, and I'll record a little video on my camera app. And from that video, I'll upload it to an unlisted link on YouTube. Again, this is one of the free ways to do it. I'll share a second free way as well. I'll upload it to its own unlisted link on YouTube. I will then take a screenshot of their name, of me holding the paper with their name. I'll take a screenshot of it. And I will put that screenshot in the email so they see it's a personalized thing. When they click on the picture, I'll link the picture to the YouTube video. So as soon as they click it, it'll open up a new browser and it will open up the YouTube video. That is a free way to do it. Another free way, which I actually just discovered 2 days ago, is loom.com, L-O-O-M, loom.com, L-O-O-M.com. That is another free way to do it. I believe you get so many free videos. There's like a stipulation. You can do this for so much for free, and then if you start using a lot, you have to pay for it. But again, that's another way to do it for free. What I use is I use a piece of software that's called BombBomb, B-O-M-B, B-O-M-B. Now, this is great. Just don't talk about it on a plane or in an airport. And here is my link. So you can use that link. So first, full disclosure, I am an affiliate for BombBomb.com. And if you do use my affiliate link, you can sign up for a free 14-day trial. And I don't think you have to put in a credit card number or anything like that. You can sign up for a free trial and you can use it. The benefits of using BombBomb is it doesn't upload it to a separate server. It uploads it to its own server, so people aren't clicking off the server. So they're not going from the email to YouTube. It just opens up its own server, which is pretty cool. The other thing that's good about BombBomb is it records the GIF of the first 3 seconds, and there's no uploading involved. Literally, it takes to record a 2-minute video, it takes about 5 to 8 minutes with YouTube to upload it, to title it, to take the screenshot. So it takes a little bit of time, but again, it's free to do that. The thing with BombBomb, as soon as you hit record and as soon as you stop hitting record, it's done. It's done. It does everything for you. The other great thing about BombBomb is when you send it, when a person opens it, you get a push notification on your cell phone that says, Michael opened your video. And guess what? I know when Michael opened my video because it sent me a text message saying Michael opened my video. Guess what? I also saw he forwarded the video to somebody else. I know he forwarded it to Karen because it said another 4 times that night, Michael opened your video. And I know it wasn't coming from just Michael. So it shares this information with you. But now, whenever I send an email and somebody opens up the email, I get a notification because it's just a part of the software. I was asking myself, what causes me anxiety in my business? One of the things that caused me anxiety is the anxiety relief guy, right? You got to know this. One of the things that caused me anxiety in my business is I would send people emails and I would go, oh my God, I don't know if they've opened them. So like when I was having people pay and I was sending invoices, be like, oh my gosh, I don't know if this person got the invoice. When are they going to pay? Or if I sent them a thing to schedule their sessions, I was getting stressed out because it was the unknown. So now I know when people open my emails. However, in case you want that, but you don't want to sign up for BombBomb, there is a free Google and Chrome extension that allows you to stalk people. So you can see when people open your emails. Karen, I'll ask you, how do you feel that would be useful? Like, what would be useful about that if you could see when people open their emails?
Well, you would know whether or not someone actually got what you sent to them.
Exactly. And if you're like me, I send my clients homework after the sessions. In fact, that's another way I use video. After the session, and friends, this is how you make your sessions a program. Instead of session, program. Here's how you do it. Let's say Michael comes to me and he has severe anxiety. So let's say one of the things I taught him is the faster EFT to interrupt that pattern, right? Right, exactly, yes. Let's say that's one of the things I taught Michael in the session. And Michael says, geez, Dan, I don't know if I can remember that. Okay, well, one of the things I can do is I can pop socket my phone to my computer and I can press record and I can say, hey, Michael, Dan Candell here. Hey, I just wanted to take a moment to debrief from our session. In the session, remember, we went over what we call the swish pattern, breaking free to break through. So again, here's how you do that. And also keep in mind the process: identify, locate, rate, and shift. You want to identify when you're feeling anxious. You want to locate where it is in your body. You want to rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, and you want to shift out of that. And you shift out of it by tapping here, 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 and here, saying, I let that shit go. I let that shit go. I let that shit go at each point, and ta-da. Send that video to the client, and guess what? That becomes their homework. It becomes their debrief, and you've done it very, very quickly.
Nice.
Now, I am a fan of doing personal stuff. So if I do personal stuff with people in the session, I will send them personal stuff. However, the beauty about video is once you record it, it is done. So I recorded in about 4 to 5 minute videos every single technique on my cell phone, by the way. I recorded on my cell phone, just use my cell phone for this. I recorded every single technique that I would ever teach any client. the tapping, the bilateral stimulation, the 5, 5, and 10 breath system, the calm, relaxed, and controlled trigger, the one breath trigger, the swish pattern, the this, the that. I recorded every single thing that I would ever do with a client. And I put them all in their little web pages. So guess what? Now I have a membership. So now you can take this concept and just say, okay, Sally, here's your homework. I'm going to send you video 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. I want you to do those. That's your first module. So there are some great ways where you can use video to do a one and done thing, or make it as personal as you want, or make your sessions now programs because you've used video and you're sending people video. And there's one other way I use video as well. This is a thing that I do that has been worth so much. When I tell you how simple this is, you're going to be in awe and disbelief. I bought a very professional, where it's not within reaching distance, but I bought a very professional Canon TOS cyber or something like that. It's a camera that professional photographers use and that bloggers use. And it was about, for a video kit, it was about $695 or something like that. I got it around Christmas time. Thinking, oh, if I shoot more professional videos, people will watch them more. Not true. So they have found that on Facebook and social media, highly produced professional videos actually get less views than a typical cell phone selfie video. So I started shooting all of these blog videos with this, or vlog, I guess you call them, video blog, all these vlog videos. And I posted them on anxietyreliefguide.com. And people were watching the videos. But then I was walking to a coffee shop that's next to my office. And whenever it's a nice day, I love to walk to this coffee shop. Bob and Scott, you've both been to this coffee shop, to La Java in Northborough. It takes about 2 minutes to walk to walk to the coffee shop and 2 minutes to walk back. So one day I took out my cell phone. I said, it's a nice day out today. I'm just going to shoot a video. I took my cell phone out like this. Let's say this is my cup of coffee. It's not. But let's say this, Catherine, thank you. She said she's seen the walk and talks. So I just randomly one day took out my phone and I said, hey, Dan Candell here, the hypnotist. And I just wanted to answer a question that someone sent me about changing habits and blah, 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 blah. And I started doing more of these as I was walking back from the coffee shop. And they started getting views, hundreds of views, some of them thousands of views, people sharing them, commenting on them. And I'm like, I bought a $700 camera and nobody watches those videos. I do this and they get thousands of views. So it morphed over the course of time, and now I call it the coffee walk and talk. And people really look forward to these videos. I had no idea. My friends make fun of me all the time for doing this. They say, you and your stupid coffee walk and talk videos, and I said, listen, you have no idea how famous those videos make me. People share them. My clients go on and they love them.
Dan, Catherine mentioned that she had seen those, and I have not, by the way. So I'd love to know how to see them. And again, where are they on Facebook? Did you say, or where are you posting them?
Yes, so I post them to my Facebook fan page and then repost them to my personal page. So my fan page is Dan Candell Hypnotist, and actually I'll grab the link of that. So it's Dan Candell Hypnotist. And I actually posted one today. Let me just see the stats on this. So let's see here. I'll post the link to the page in the chat in just a moment. I'm just pulling up and seeing. Oh, Ashley just liked my Facebook page. Thank you. All right, so far, this video has, why isn't it telling me? It's asking me to do like a watch party and everything like that. Anyway, so let's see here. All right, let me go back to Zoom. Perfect, here we go. So here is, you can get to that link. I just posted the link in the chat where you can get to my Facebook fan page and you can see those videos. And then some of them I post to YouTube. So you can follow me on YouTube as well. It's just Dan Candell and you'll see all the videos on there too. So today I specifically talked about support groups and how destructive some support groups can be. Yeah. And you know, you're literally, the other day I talked about something funny, a funny story that related to anxiety. A couple of days before that, I talked about the changing of seasons where people want to change and shift their behaviors. A couple of times before that, I talked about music and how music helps with motivation and mindset. So literally this little thing where like, this is a coffee walk and talk. Hey, Dan Candell here, the Anxiety Relief Guy, creator of the Anxiety Relief Revolution. In today's Coffee Walk and Talk, we're going to be talking about how to explode your business through free consultations or something like that, if it was specifically for hypnotists. And then it cuts to a little intro, and I edit everything on my phone. It literally takes me 30 seconds to edit on my phone. It cuts to a little video intro that says Dan Candell, Coffee Walk and Talk, advice from a hypnotist. And then it cuts back to me walking back from the coffee shop. And people now have known me from this coffee shop and from the coffee walk and talks. In fact, when people fly to come and see me, their biggest pleasure is they get to go to the coffee shop with Dan Candell where he shoots his coffee walk and talk videos. So never in my life had I ever thought that these things would have been beneficial to my business, but they are. And it's all with video. People feel like they already know me when they're coming into my office.
That's exactly it, Dan. By the way, you know, one of the things that I have really sort of impressed people with and talked to my classes about all the time is, you know, there's a million techniques to learn in hypnosis and everybody's got their favorite and they say that you should do it this way and you should do it that way. Milton Erickson says that hypnosis is a relationship. And I really tend to emphasize that so much that I think that it's more important than anything else. And what I see with you is that you really have established a relationship with your clients before they even begin to work with you.
Exactly.
That's a lovely thing.
So it's interesting you bring this up, Michael, because one of the other ways I use video is I actually started doing in marketing a webinar. And I did a 1-hour webinar on how to overcome anxiety. And at the end of the webinar, people sign up for this 1-hour webinar. And at the end of the webinar, it says, you know, the last thing you need to do to know how to eliminate or how to overcome or control anxiety is to work with a mentor or a coach who has a proven system. And the whole webinar spends an hour building that credibility. And if you go on anxietyreliefguide.com, you can see the 3-step process that I did to create an airtight process. So people go on there, they sign up for the webinar. After the webinar, they schedule a discovery session with me, a 30-minute discovery session. It's usually over Zoom like this. And after they schedule that discovery session, it brings them to an application where they have to apply to even see me for a discovery session. And every page has video on it. Almost every page has video on it. And even on the consultation page or on the discovery session page, it says, hey, Dan Candell here. Thank you so much for watching this underproduced but professional quality video. And you are here to schedule a discovery session. It's going to ask you to choose 2 time slots with me. And then I accept one of the times. It's going to ask you to fill out a questionnaire. Now, please make sure you do, because I only accept the people for the discovery sessions who fill out the questionnaires thoughtfully. Thank you so much. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are. Done. So you're bringing people through this process. This week, and it's Tuesday, so yesterday and today, I rejected 3 people for discovery sessions because they did not follow my process. Now, I have 4 consultations, 4 discovery sessions tomorrow, and 5 clients tomorrow. And all of the 4 discovery sessions I have, they went through my process. They watched the webinar. They filled out the questionnaire. They scheduled the discovery session. And if any one of those pieces are missing, I do not accept the client into my program, because if they're not going to follow my process, then guess what? They're not going to follow my process when they're working with me.
Nice.
So with that said, should we get into, first off, are there any questions about video or the process I'm describing or anything like that? Are there any questions about the things that I've shared with you thus far?
And if you have questions, you can either type them in the chat room or down under participants. There's a place where you can actually raise your hand, and we can keep an eye on that too. And if you'd like to ask something, then we can unmute your mic.
And Amy said, if you don't edit them, Facebook promotes them even, and more people watch them. So Amy, that is a really good point. You can boost your videos on Facebook and you can send ads to them. And that's one thing that I am testing now, is doing Facebook advertising to my videos. So I'm targeting very specifically only people who I want to watch my videos. And this is through something that Frank Kern calls intent-based branding. And Frank Kern is a very famous online marketer. And what he's really good at doing is creating relationships with people. And recently, since things in Facebook changed their logarithm, he said, well, everybody's copying my Facebook ads and everything. So he started creating just value videos and boosting them. And they get thousands and thousands of views. So this intent-based branding is basically creating that relationship and asking yourself, what can I do for my clients before they even sign up with me? Bob, it was, have a safe drive tomorrow, and I will talk to you. I'll talk to you tomorrow in the next one, Bob. Thank you. Bob was just saying he had to sign off. Bob is a very good friend of mine.
Good night, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
So this intent-based branding, what it's basically doing, it's just adding extra value. And I like to give the what and how clothing. So it may appear in a lot of my videos, I'm telling people how to do things, but I'm really telling them what to do. And it looks like I'm telling them how to do it, but I'm really telling them what to do, and I'm disguising it in how clothing. So for example, one thing I'll say is I'm giving recommendations for all things that will lead insight in what they can do to solve the problem, but not how to solve the problem. That's why they have to pay me $2,500 or $1,500, $3,500, depending on what program they get. Also, with what I charge, people, if Mary Sue is coming to see me off the street and she saw me on Google and then she went and watched my videos, and she has anxiety about driving down highways, and she has like a highway fear. I'm going to charge her $1,500 because she's going to come in and see me for 4 sessions. And in between each session, I'm going to send her one of my online programs that reinforces what we do. John Jacobs sees my TED Talk. He lives in Florida. He's in sales and business. He's an entrepreneur. And he has anxiety that holds him back from being productive. maybe he has a porn, something with a porn addiction or something like that, and that's how he procrastinates and whatever. Which is a big part of what I work with entrepreneurs is different procrastination mechanisms, like porn, for example, was my whole week last week was just all porn. So porn clients, not porn clients, not me, no, you know what? So let's say this is a person. I'm going to be working with him not just on the anxiety. I'm going to be working with him on productivity. I'm going to be working with him on sales improvement as well. I'm going to charge him $2,500 to $3,500 because he's getting more of my online library of programs. I have a whole suite of online programs, and that sell on my website anywhere from $500 to $900. And when you work with me as a client, you get a selection of those depending on what we work with. So that's why it looks like I'm charging more for the same thing. I'm really giving more, and that's why I'm charging more. So anyway, so with that said, should we start moving into the free consultation formula?
Sure.
Okay. So kind of a natural progression, I guess you would say. So the free consultation formula is something that I developed about 5 or 6 years ago. One of my, just closing my door because my boyfriend is just coming in the house, and the dog is probably going to start barking his head off. So hopefully you don't hear that. But anyway, so the free consultation formula, it's something I just started doing with my clients, where I attend a lot of sales and marketing conventions and conferences. And a few weeks ago, I was in San Diego at a marketing conference. Before that, I was at another marketing conference in LA. So I attend a lot of different conferences that teach you how to do business differently and think about business differently. So I had attended a lot of the persuasion of sales and the psychology of sales and everything like that. So I put together this process that I called the free consultation formula. And I explain I put it together as an actual product, as an actual program. And I actually just updated it. So I'll be telling everybody about the updates and everything like that. But it's basically a strategic, persuasive way to charge more for your sessions, to get more clients to say yes, and yet to get your clients to really crave and want to work with you. So that way, the work is all done in the process really before they even come in. And then there's about 8 questions that you ask them that help them naturally overcome any objections that they have. And it pretty much makes it impossible for them to not work with you. So when you position this consultation just right, it positions you as the solution, and it positions them as the person who is willing to do anything to get this solution. So there are a couple of ins and outs about this. If you're already doing consultations, there's a couple of things I want you to change about them. Number one is please stop calling it a free consultation. The reason why is because that sounds very salesy, and it sounds like they're going to be sold something. Mm-hmm. And in today's day and age, with everybody knowing a lot of the inside secrets of marketing and sales, because I find that now naturally more people know about this than they used to 10 years ago. I find if you call it a free consultation, people come in expecting to be sold to. And it's almost like a hypnotic metaphor. When your guard goes down, when you're told a story or a metaphor, it's the same thing when you call it something different. I like to call it a complimentary discovery session or a strategy session, or some people have called it a screening, which is also pretty cool, a hypnosis screening. And my thing is I want you to come in for a complimentary discovery session so I can gain more insight in what you'd like to achieve and accomplish, how I can get you there, and also to gain insight into why you have the problem that you have. and what we're going to do about it. So when we call it a complimentary discovery session, people are coming in and they will get value out of the session. The value they're getting is they are going to understand the problem much, much more. They're also going to understand the results, and they're going to understand the consequences if they keep doing things the way they're doing. And they're going to leave motivated to change.
Nice.
The questions that you ask them throughout the process help the conversation flow. And it's like the first thing is what I like to call the leading statement. Basically, hi, Karen. Thank you so much for coming to the discovery session. I really look forward to working with you today. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to ask you some questions so I can gain some more insight in what you'd like to achieve and accomplish. And then I'm going to let you know about a solution if I have one, and if I can help you. I'll let you know how towards the end of the session you can ask me any questions. Sound good?
Yes.
Perfect. So the whole thing is framing the discovery session. So that way you're automatically getting people into an agreeable state. Sound good? Yes. Okay. The second thing is a line of questions that you're going to ask them. It basically starts off like, tell me where you are now and what you'd like to achieve and accomplish. Then it goes to something like, what have you tried before? And the reason why we want to know what they've tried before is simply because we want to know how much they've invested into this. We also want to know how this affects other areas of their life. The reason why we want to know this is because we want to find out insight into, this is where we're seeding, like for me, this is where I'm seeding, are they going to be able to afford me? And I'm basically going to ask them, can they afford me, without asking them, can you afford me? So I'm going to ask them some professional questions. I'm going to ask them some questions that are related to, does this hold you back at work? Do you get anxious or nervous about certain things like money and finances, family, personal health, wellness, growth? What are some things that kind of give you this anxiety? And I'm listening for some keywords here, because I need to know, are they going to go into a group program? Are they going to go into an individualized program? Are they going to go into an online program? Am I just going to try and sell them a CD? Like, what's the solution? Am I even going to want them as a client?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And this is the biggest reason why I started doing this, is because I started getting a lot of resistant clients. And after I did this process, I no longer got resistant clients because I no longer accepted them. My success rate also shot through the roof. Okay, so as we move them through the discovery questions, you also want to ask them, what are the consequences if you do not make this change? What happens? What are the consequences? Now, if you hear this, I'll just manage it. They're not really that motivated to change. So you got to really start to strike up the pain, because towards the end of the conversation, if they say, $1,500 is too much money, or if you charge $800 or $600, $400 or whatever, $400 is more than I was expecting to spend. Okay, let's go back through this. You told me that if you don't achieve this, you're not going to be able to get to work on time, because you're going to be finding all different ways to go to work because you have this fear of driving down the highway. You told me that work is offering you a promotion in a different office. You won't be able to get there because you have to take the highway in order to get there. So you're not going to be making money anymore. You told me that as a consequence, all this stuff and this stuff and this stuff. So you'll sometimes have to replay those consequences. And then you're asking, okay, and this is what I like to call the objection shattering sledgehammer. So we've had this conversation. I've told you about the program that I do. I have one more question for you, though. why is it important that I work with you privately? Kind of tell me why you think you'd be a good fit for this program, or why I should work with you.
Mm.
And then I shut up.
Yeah.
And it causes them to now sell you.
Very nice.
Right. So with that, occasionally you get objections, and you have to know what happens when you get an objection. And the cardinal rule in sales is to handle the objection before it arises. So I'll do this in many different ways. One of the objections people have: what happens if I can't be hypnotized? Another objection people get is, oh, we've seen your stage show. Is this going to be like a stage show? I don't want my husband to know I'm doing this. So I'll raise a lot of these objections. But in my free, and I'm not trying to sell people on my free consultation formula program. You could take what you learn here tonight, implement these little tweaks, and be very successful at this. If you would like to enroll in that program, I'll let you know how you get into it and everything like that towards the end. But I don't want to turn this into a big promotion for that.
Yes.
Okay. And let's see, we have a question. How do you get people to answer your questions and not go spiraling down their own tirades at every question? I love that. Thank you, Amy. So I will say this: if people start going into story, I'll say I totally understand. And with love and compassion, we just have to stay on time because I have like another 5 clients after you. So just give me like the newspaper headline version. And I'll explain to them the reason why is because the more you go into the story, the deeper groove that's carving in your brain. And so and this just happened today, actually. So that rape that you told me about, that you're telling me all about that, let's give that a code word. So that way, every single time you don't have to go back there and retell that story. So when we reference that, even in the future, when you start working with me, I'll do that. I'll also use the remote control technique a lot. You know what? No, I totally hear you. But let's pause for a moment and let's rewind back to the question that I asked you. I just need to, for my own well-being, I need to make sure that I get all the responses to these questions I'm asking you, because it will help me help you in the future. So let's rewind back there. So I'll use the pause and rewind a lot. Or let's table that. And these are things we actually work with if we start working together. So there are many different ways that you can handle that. And I am blunt with some people, and I'll say right in the middle of their story, okay, stop, pump the brakes here, Susie. All right. Yes, I hear you and I get you and I understand, but I'm hearing that this is also avoiding the question that I asked you. So there's something there that we need to address, and I'll call them out on it as well. But mostly, like I said, that remote control technique works. And if you say these words with love and compassion, I just want to like pause here. We need to go back, and so I can get the response to the question. So it's going to help me help you.
Yeah.
So we do that as well. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome, Amy. So going through this, some of the tidbits. Number 1, do not call it a consultation. Call it a strategy session, a discovery session, something like that. Number 2, have questions actually written out and let people know you're going to be taking notes, because people will give you much more well thought out answers if they know you're taking notes.
Yeah.
And ask permission to say, Michael, I'm going to be taking notes. Do you mind if I take notes during this process, just so I can write everything down? I've never had anyone say no. As you're moving into the sales process of the sales part of the conversation, where you're describing the program, you're going to say something like, Karen, I after hearing what you told me in the responses, I actually have a really good idea in my head of exactly how I can help. Do you want to hear about that?
Of course.
Perfect. I've never heard anyone say no. Oh, actually, no, I lied. One person has said no. One person said, I know this is going to cost a hell of a lot of money. So with all due respect, no, I don't need to hear about this. I know I got to do something, but I know this is going to be a lot. I know I'm not going to be able to afford it right now. Great. Perfect. See you.
Doesn't it make you curious what was going through their mind when they booked that
Yes.
time with you to begin with?
It really does. Like, whoa, okay. And this is also where I had to put, and I'm glad you brought that up, Karen, because I had to put guidelines on the discovery session page. And I said, you have to be 21 or older in order to reserve a discovery session. And you also must not be one of Dan's former clients. And because I had to filter people, because people would see on Facebook and stuff, because I say, call me for a complimentary discovery session or go on anxietyreliefguide.com, whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And I'd have a lot of hypnotists, none of you guys, but I've had a lot of hypnotists who have gone through my process and booked a discovery session with me. And they said, no, we just wanted to see what you did.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Thanks for being honest, So I do have this as a program, and you can get it you can go to thespawnofsatan.com and get it. And yes, Cheryl, you heard that correctly, thespawnofsatan.com. And there's a reason.
You said you would tell us the reason.
I will tell you the reason. So I'm known as just the everything happens to me guy, the out of the box guy. I was doing one of my hypnosis shows in New Jersey, and this was about 5 or 6 years ago. And at this particular show, it was for a Catholic high school. They had me performing on the altar. It was weird, but it's fun. It was cool. And right in front of the crucifix. It was great. So right before the show started, about 5 minutes before the show started, the headmaster of the school comes over to me and he goes, Mr. Candell, we have a problem. I said, what's the problem? He goes, there are people protesting your presence at this very moment in time in the parking lot. I'm like, oh boy, you've arrived when people protest your presence, right? So I said, can I go see? He'll follow me this way. So I go and follow the headmaster of the school. Sure enough, there's 12 angry parents picketing with signs outside that say, Dan Candell, that's me, is the spawn of Satan. So I'm like, you can't make this up. So I go over to the HWIC, the head witch in charge. And I know it was her because she bedazzled her sign, right? She put a lot of work into this. Sequence. So I go up to her and I say, ma'am, you do realize hypnosis isn't the work of the devil. It's not satanic or anything like that. In fact, we help people with it and everything. And tonight we're going to have a lot of fun with it and showcase the comical side of hypnosis, but also later on the therapeutic side of hypnosis. And then she looks at me like I have like 18 heads. And I said, do you know who I am? And she looks at me and she goes, no, I do not. I said, I'm the one on your sign. I'm Dan Candell. Without skipping a beat, she steps back, she grabs her crucifix, and she goes, you, sir, are the spawn of Satan. So I looked at her and I goes, yes, I am. And she dropped that sign and she headed for the hills. So because of that, I was telling this story. So I also do motivational speaking to sales groups and conferences and corporations and everything like that. I was speaking to a group about 4 months, when was it? Back in January. Yeah, so almost 4 months ago. To a group of professional sales, they're professionals in photography sales, so they all sell portraits. About 120 people in the room. Well, they're live streaming some of this to Facebook, and one of the admins of the Facebook page who overheard my story posted, the spawn of Satan just took the stage. So the organizer of this event comes running in because he saw someone post it on Facebook, and he was not listening to my presentation. And he just screams in the middle of my presentation, stop! I said, what? He goes, someone just posted that you're the spawn of Satan to get you off stage. Whoever posted that, take it down. And we all just die laughing. And he's like, what? I said, no. That was part of the story that I was telling. And so anyway, someone came up to me afterwards and said, Dan, you should buy the spawnofsatan.com just in case someone hears that story and actually does think you're Satan. And she said, you should even go a step further and you should get like a little Satan doll and make it wear a shirt that says, I'm with my spawn. And people will want to take pictures of it. Now, as a business decision, I don't think that would be a wise idea. However, just for shits and giggles tonight, I had to connect the free consultation formula to that domain just to give me an excuse to tell the story. So the spawnofsatan.com, you can go and you can get my free consultation formula. And actually you get a bonus. I just updated the program. And if you enroll and you let me know that you are on this chapter meeting, I'll give you some bonus. I think it's a bonus about how I super niched down. And there's, let's see here. I believe it's another, yes, I think it's how I super niched down. There's a couple of bonuses I give you. Let me know that you saw this and I'll give you all my bonuses. And that's the spawnofsatan.com. Thank you, Michael.
Great.
Oh my gosh.
Lovely.
Yes,
So I know we covered a lot. What other questions might people have?
Okay, I do have a question, and by all means, type your questions up there or raise your hand. Let us know that you want to ask some. But you've talked about pricing a little bit, and you've talked about screening a little bit. You haven't said, at least maybe you did and I missed it, Dan, but about how many sessions are we talking in these programs?
Yes. So I do 4 sessions. And the first session is an hour and a half, and then it's about an hour between each, then it's about an hour for each other session. The sessions are spaced out 2 weeks apart. So it's 1 session every other week. The reason why I do it that way is because I let people know this. I say, listen, I don't want you to look at this as 4 sessions. I want you to look at this as an 8-week program, because you're going to be doing work in the office. You're also going to be doing work outside of the office. I want you to look at it as a whole program. I'm going to send you home with things to do. Are you committed? And usually people say yes. If I get the people, oh, you know what, I don't have time to do that. How much time are we talking about outside of the office? I say, if you don't have time to dedicate to this, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to work with you. Now, like I said in the beginning, I have the luxury to do that. Don't think that you have to be very choosy like I am. I think I'm way more choosy than I should be. But you don't have to do it that way. I take a very tough approach. I wouldn't say tough. Tough is the wrong word. A very direct approach with people. So I want people to know that's what they can expect from me, but they also need to expect that I'm putting them in control of their own process of change, and that there are things that are going to have to happen outside of the office, because I tell people, hypnosis in the process, I do work. However, it requires reinforcement and repetition. There are some people that they come in for that first session, like that they've achieved everything that they've ever wanted in the first session. I love those clients. I also dread them because you're like, okay, we have 3 sessions left.
What do you do then?
What do you do then? Exactly. And what I do then is I say, okay, what are some, so let's work on reinforcement. Definitely. We'll reinforce what we did in a different way. But are there other things you'd like to achieve and accomplish? Are there other things you'd like to do? Or are there other components of this issue you might feel are unresolved? And then through there, I'll teach them about emotional control. And most of the other sessions will be about emotional control, how to stop any negative feeling, emotion, or sensation that holds you back from living your best life. And the last session will be self-hypnosis training. So we'll do that a lot. I also created a membership program called the Make Success Happen Inner Circle. So I'll go through there and I'll say, okay, so since you did so well the first session, I'm going to give you a challenge over the next 2 weeks. The challenge I'm going to give you is to detox your relationships. Ooh. Like that's one of the modules, one of the challenges I have in that program. Another one might be, this week, your challenge is going to be setting boundaries. So I have like all of these topics, and sometimes I'll pick one out of the hat of what will be good for that person.
Sure.
And are we talking in the realm of your anxiety niche, your specialty?
Yes.
Or, Dan, does this cover everything? Nail biting, smoking, the odd brown button phobia?
Yes. So mainly anxiety, transformation, high performance, habits, small habits like nail biting and smoking cessation. I still will see the occasional smoker, just because I get paid stupid money for that. And I also, my father was a former smoker, and unfortunately my father is in very poor health now. So I still see some smokers, because I don't want people to have to go through what my dad is going through. I also don't want their children to have to go through what I'm going through, seeing my dad go through this. And it's a very painful process to see. And for those of you who have had people that have close relatives and family that have passed away from smoking related illnesses, you understand what I'm talking about. But it's treacherous, and it's as you can see, it's even very difficult for me to talk about. But that is my motivating factor also still for helping people who smoke. But I'll tell you, if you come in my office and you want to stop smoking, you're going to leave and you're going to stop smoking. I don't care if I have to follow you home and choke it out of you. So for that, I do 2 sessions. And same thing with, if someone came in, if like a former client came in, and they're like, Dan, this works so well. I want to work on this. I'll usually do 2 sessions, no matter what it is. If they're follow-ups, number 1, to make sure we did number 1, to do the work, and session 2 is to make sure the work that we did worked, and to work on any other components. And then from there, if my clients still want to come in, I say, okay, you just do session by session basis, but I make people prepay before they come in. None of this you pay as you go stuff. For me, that is, I make everybody pay upfront before they come in for their sessions. And I also offer payment plans. And a payment plan to me is not, you come in and then you pay each session. That's a session by session model. A payment plan is this. You enter your information into my system, and my system automatically withdraws the money from your credit card or bank account each month. I've been doing that for 4 years, 4, maybe 5 years. I've had, out of the thousands of people I've worked with, I've had 2 or 3 issues, and that's it. And 2 of the issues that I had were literally, oh, Susan, it says your credit card was declined in my system. Dan, I'm so sorry. I switched banks, or I got a new credit card. The expiration date changed. Here's my new card. Perfect. And then there was one when she still owed me like $400 and just dropped off the face of the earth, and it was not worth me pursuing the $400 that she owed me. So, and I know I'm giving you a lot of insight here on different business systems. I've always wanted to travel and have my business still run and operate while I'm traveling. Mm-hmm. So that's the way I set up my business now, is that when I'm traveling, people can still schedule, mm-hmm. and I don't have to be there. I still get paid, and I don't have to be there. I sell online self-improvement programs. I have a whole suite of all these programs. I get paid and I don't have to be there. So I'm changing my business model now, where instead of doing so much one-to-one work, I'm doing more one-to-many. So I'm creating my anxiety group programs, and that's why I'm really niching down, and that's why I'm doing a lot of targeting now, and doing the videos and targeting only people who I want to see my videos.
Dan, there are a number of things that you did that I just think are absolutely brilliant, and they're built right into what we've heard from you before. There are presuppositions in everything that you said to your client that really kind of load this thing in the direction that you want it to go, and that's just delightful to me. Something that I've started doing recently is requiring people to apply to take my classes rather than just saying anybody that wants to sign up, I'm gonna have you in it. And I'll tell you what, that really has done a lot for me in terms of just I'm I was talking to Karen about this. I'm in the second half of my 7th decade, and really happy to be able to have some choice about who it is that I work with.
Absolutely.
So I love that about what you do, and I do 90% of my work probably on Zoom. I'm thinking about dropping my brick and mortar office altogether. I'm wondering, when you do your discovery sessions with people, do you do those online as much as you do in your office, or do they all come in, or how do you do that?
I would say about 30% actually come in. So 30% actually do come in the office, and I would say it's an even keel for the other 70% doing phone and Zoom. If they are distant clients, like if they can't come and see me and they're not in the area, we'll usually do Zoom. I usually, in that case, won't do phone. And the reason being is because if there's going to be any problems connecting, I want it to be during the consultation or the discovery session.
Yeah.
And I'll say, you know what, why do phone when we're going to start right off the bat doing video anyway in the session? So why not just be congruent?
Mm-hmm.
So most of it, if we're going to be doing virtual work, we start off right off the bat using Zoom. If they're local to me and they want a virtual discovery session, I'll just do it right over the phone. Because I know this sounds weird, but sometimes if people are local and they just found me on Google, it doesn't convert as well than if the people saw my TED Talk and then saw my coffee walk-in talks and then went through my webinar. And I want people to know who I am when they call me.
Sure.
And I got a phone call recently from a gentleman who he's called like 4 other hypnotists who were all over Massachusetts. And he chose me because he saw my videos and he said, okay, I got to ask you a personal question. I said, what? He said, if this is too personal, just let me know. I said, what? He said, are you gay? And I said, yeah, why? And he said, oh, thank God. I said, what? He said, I've gone to therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists and none of them understand me. He said, and I've had several people say this to me before. And he said, I'm a homosexual too. I said, do you want a cookie or a medal? I'm like, it's not an accomplishment.
The only one in the village.
Yeah. So I also don't hide things about my life. I'm very upfront about, number one, my sexuality. I'm upfront about the challenges that I've experienced, how I got into hypnosis. I had a learning challenge. I'm upfront about having a family with addiction and alcoholism. And that's why I got this tattoo. It says we choose our own direction, because I really, truly, firmly believe if I didn't see addiction, if I didn't see all of those things happening in my family, I think if I didn't see that, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now at the level I'm doing it at. And it reminded me, we really do choose our own direction in life.
So Dan, I hate to say this because this train is about ready to pull out of the station. So before it does that, I want to, there's one more question in the chat room.
Yes.
Take this last question if we can. And then I'm going to give you a chance to talk about your program and how people can contact you. And I've got a little bit of housekeeping and some final announcements to make as well. So, so the question was from Scott, and he just says, when you do 8 a day, is that 8 separate sessions or are some of them groups?
Right now, they're all 8 separate sessions. And usually I've gotten really good to making my sessions 45 to 50 minutes if they're follow-up sessions. So it's not 8 solid hours a day. But yes, they're private sessions. And when I transition to groups, I'm really only going to be working in my office 1 day a week with private clients. And then I'm going to do what I call 2 days of transformation, where people can come and work with me in an accelerated 2-day process, one-on-one. And that's going to have a really high price tag on it.
Nice.
Cool.
Right, so you also mentioned your free consultation formula program. Well, first of all, tell us, how can people get in touch with you generally, and then tell us about the program itself and how they can get involved with that.
Absolutely. So you can just email me, dancandell@gmail.com. Again, that's dancandell@gmail.com. You can email me through there. Probably the best way to get in touch with me, though, is through Facebook. If you want, friend me on Facebook or follow my fan page and send me a private message. That's also a really good way to reach out to me. You can definitely go, I have several websites. The main ones are dancandell.com and anxietyreliefguy.com. All right, so dancandell@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, just Dan Candell, and send me a message through there. And if you do, I don't friend everyone. So if you do friend me, shoot me a message first. Let me know that you saw me tonight, and then you can message me through there. And also, I'm open to criticism and feedback as well. Don't be too hard. Like, be gentle. But you know, I'm open to feedback as well. So if you guys do have any feedback, please let me know. Feel free to completely disagree with me, and I will tell you that you're wrong and I'm right. No, I'm kidding. Feel free to disagree with me. What I shared with you, they're my opinions, and they're what have worked for me. Okay. And I understand that what works for one may not work for everyone. And with that said, if you do want to go and get my free consultation formula, it is what we talked about tonight and so much more. It's really how I structured everything in my business and in my practice that you can gain insight into. We already have about like 30 people in the program, and you can go and see what they've said about it. And again, this is to be funny, folks. It's the spawnofsatan.com. If you've been on this meeting, you know why it's the spawnofsatan.com. But you can go there and you can get it. If you do get it and you saw me through this, then please let me know that you got it from watching this virtual chapter meeting. And I will give you some amazing bonuses that I will not be giving to other people. Okay, so just please let me know, and I'll send you some amazing bonus content material. If you're already in my free consultation formula, let me know that you're already in it, and I will still send you those bonuses. You don't have to rebuy it, okay, if you're already in it.
Oh, right.
Very nice offer. Thank you, Dan, very much.
Absolutely. And I know you guys still have some housekeeping to do. I'll go quiet in a moment. I just want to say thank you so much for having me on and for trusting me to be a valued guest and member. And as always, as I always say, be well, do good, and be true to who you are.
Well, and we're going to give you a send-off, so please don't go away for a minute. By the way, you are speaking tomorrow night to the Massachusetts chapter.
The Massachusetts chapter.
We have another drink. Can you tell us about that real quickly? I heard that it was something about the subconscious mind. I've heard of that before.
Yes, absolutely. So on the Massachusetts chapter tomorrow, which is a virtual chapter as well, it's going to be a panelist. I will be one of the panelists discussing our viewpoint of the subconscious mind and what our thoughts of how we work with the subconscious mind are. And it's going to be myself, Michael Hathaway, and Tom Nicoli, and Kevin Martin is going to be the moderator.
Lovely. That sounds great. And so how could people get hooked up with that if they're not already? Is there a Facebook group or something, or?
Yes, there is a Facebook group, and I don't know what it is. However, if you go on Kevin, and if you search Kevin Martin through Positive Effects Hypnosis, you should be able to do that. Scott, I know you're in that chapter. Do you know, is there a page or anything like that? You can just shake your head yes or no, or unmute. There we go.
I can unmute. The NGH Commonwealth chapter page. I typed it into the chat.
Awesome.
I didn't put the URL in. I can do that too.
Hi, Catherine.
Great. NGH Commonwealth chapter on Facebook, and that'll have the information that they need to be able to attend tomorrow night. Is that right?
Yes, and Catherine is in agreement. Yes, Catherine's also a member. Awesome.
Okay, perfect. So let's just handle this little housekeeping, and then we can give you our fantastic special treatment, Dan. So be ready for it. Want to remind everybody once again, the Hypno Expo is coming up May 17th through the 19th, 2019 at wonderful Daytona Beach. So be there if you can. And if you can't, well, then change your plans and make arrangements, because it's going to be a wonderful thing. And I want to let you know about the virtual chapter. We've got some exciting things coming up. Dan is a great guest. We've loved having you here tonight. And in May, next month, we're going to have somebody who swears a little bit more than Dan does. Melissa Tiers will be our guest, and she's going to talk about practical neuroplasticity. In June, we're going to have Art Geiser, who is the NLP trainer, and he actually developed a field called energetic NLP, which is some really kind of groovy new age neurolinguistic programming. In July, we are having Scott
Schmerin.
I mispronounced that.
He's another NLP guy and performanceologist, neuroperformanceology. He's got some fancy, 18-letter title for what he does, and he'll be talking to us about all of that.
Okay, and we're arm wrestling with a couple of people.
By the way, Scott Schmerin used hypnosis to lose half his body weight. So that's a pretty cool story that he'll be sharing with us too.
Was it from the waist up or the waist down?
You'll know when you see him.
We'll know when we see him.
You have to attend the virtual chapter and see him on Zoom to know for sure.
That will be great. Now, we're arm wrestling with a couple of people for who we're going to have in August. But in September, Connie Ray Andreas, the developer of the core transformation process, is going to be our guest as well. And she's a very special teacher of mine. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well. So we've got several months in advance, and it looks like a whole lot of great folks. So second Tuesday of the month, you all know how to get here because you did it tonight. It'll be the same login and the same information. So anything else, Karen?
Don't forget to grab your CEUs. All you have to do is log on to the IACT IMDHA page. And of course, you can get CEUs from ICBCH and IHF. And I'm sure that NGH will give you CEUs for tonight as well, because we have so many NGH members here. And I'm an NGH instructor, and so many other people are here too. So I'm sure that will qualify if you just explain that you listened to Dan Candell tonight.
That's right. So now everybody put on your seatbelts and pull your lap bar down into place so that you will be safe for the next little while, because we are going to just get wildly chaotic. I'm going to unmute everybody, so all of the microphones will be open at once, and that means we'll all have the opportunity to just say thank you tonight to Dan Candell. We really appreciate you being with us tonight. So good night, everybody.
Great show, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye, Dan.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Karen, call me.
I will. I got it.
Bye.
Bye.